for being with us.
No worries.
Can you tell us a little bit about the film? What can people expect?
Yeah, so A Guide to Dating at the End of the World. It's hard to describe in a few words. So girl meets boy, girl hates boy, apocalypse happens, boy and girl meet up again, romance ensues, let's say that, in a nutshell.
And it's been a long time coming, the movie as well. Can you talk a little bit about how you first got involved with the project and what interested you in the character?
Yeah, so it's 10 years or so. But when I first was involved, I was very lucky to be called in to do an audition for a role. I didn't know much about it before I'd seen the script, but just got to read for a character who seemed, honestly, very much like me. A little bit nerdy, a little bit dorky, a little bit playful. And so I really, for the audition process, had a lot of fun. And I think that was really helpful, actually. The scenes that I got to read for audition were just something I could play around with and show the, let's say, the silly side of what you can do on camera. And from there, I was lucky enough to get offered the part, and then, the rest is history.
Wow. And it's sort of interesting you say, you talk about the character's silly side and nerdy scientific side as well, because when we first are introduced to him, we don't get any of that, do we? He's quite a bit of an arse at the start.
Yeah, look, he is. He's a douchebag, let's face it. And it's funny kind of looking at a role like that where you the first time you meet this person on screen isn't who he is. And so you have to get past that later on. And so that's a fun process as an actor, then trying to make a character likeable enough to get past the dislike that people already have for them.
Outside of acting, you're also a high school teacher?
Yeah, so since we filmed this, I'm now teaching drama at high school and directing
really
things.
Because the character too is quite a teacher in many respects.
Tries to be. So maybe I'm going to pretend that I'm a better teacher than maybe John is, but yeah, he does try and help out where he can.
Yeah. In terms of people from Brisbane going to see a movie like this, it's quite novel to see your own city on the big screen. Can you talk a little bit about what a Brisbaneite might expect going to see this?
Yeah, I think even for us when we were watching the final production, it's really interesting seeing Brisbane in so many different ways, and in particular seeing an empty Brisbane. And I think that's one of the things that people will really be shocked by, is just how what our city looks like when there's no one else around. And I think that's one of the things that Sam and the crew captured really well, is just this sense of emptiness. And even then, Brisbane has kind of it has a soul to it that I think Brisbaneites will recognise better than maybe other people will. And so you see those little parts of Brisbane that we're all familiar with.
So the film's about to hit cinemas. It's been quite a journey to the screen, and also after a pandemic. What do you think audiences are going to take away from the film? What do you think they're going to love about the movie?
I hope that they see the fun that we had making it. I hope that they get a sense of that as well. And it is a fun, beautiful film at times. There's a sense at times that it's outrageous and it's silly, and at times it's also heartbreaking at certain moments. So I hope they get that sense of the kind of dichotomy between those things. But I also think, I really hope they see how well Australian filmmakers can just make interesting stories. We tend to have this process in Australia where for an Australian story to get recognition, it needs to be Australian, about Australia or something specifically Australian. And this is just a great story. And I hope they see that here we have these great stories and we can make them here, and they're really great to watch.
Perfect. And what's next on the horizon for you?
Well, actually, at the moment, Kerrith and Sam and myself, we're writing a project. So hoping to complete a script for that very soon. So we're about probably halfway through that process. And then, looking at writing more than anything else now.
Is the new one another feature, or?
Yeah, we're initially looking at a feature. at the moment are kind of suburban noir, but still set around Brisbane. I think that's the key as well, set in those little pockets of Brisbane that people know so well.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for your time.
No problems.